Hello. I thought I would make a little explainer video today about my part-time actor training courses. I've made an explainer video already about the full-time training that I do in the Applied Art of Acting 3-month full-time course, and a couple of people asked me if I would make a similar video just explaining my part-time courses. As I said before, in the full-time one it's sometimes easier to listen to someone talk about it rather than read reams of information about it on websites or whatever. So very simply then, I have some part-time courses that I teach, and the first one is the Actors Wednesday Workshop. It runs on Wednesday nights for 10 weeks, for a 10-week term. You can do as many terms as you want, but you're only asked to commit to one term. And if you want to go on, you're more than welcome. So in the Actors Wednesday Workshop, you learn the technique that I teach for the first time, okay? So it's mostly populated by actors who have never learnt an acting technique before. All right? They may not necessarily be absolute beginners. They've probably done some drama courses or improvisation courses in the past, and now they're coming to me to actually learn an acting technique that they can take into all of the different texts that they work on, whether they're amateur or professional or whatever they're aspiring to be. Okay? So you don't have to be overly experienced, but the most important thing that I say to everyone who wants to do the Actors Wednesday Workshop is you should be able to learn lines, okay? Because you will work on a scene with a scene partner, and it happens very rarely, but it does happen that there are just some people who cannot retain lines. So if you're worried that you can't, or if you're not sure, just grab a piece of text of any sort, get a monologue off the internet of some sort, just so that you can use it to learn the lines and know that you can actually learn lines and retain them. And most actors in the course then will work on a scene and a monologue through the 10 weeks. Okay? Now, and using my technique, they will then learn the technique and apply the technique to that scene and that monologue, right? We work on those for theatre, and then of course we film them as well. And we film all the way along, once the lines are down and the scene can be performed. So I send you on the material and you look at it, and then you come back and we both look at it and we decide where to go next with it and how you can improve, exponentially as you go through the course. Okay. So, and the camera I use is this one here, the one that you're not looking at, that I'm looking at. It's a good camera, it's a DSLR, it's a 550D, it's cinema grade. I've made movies on this thing, and I shoot whatever you're working on that, so you've got some good quality stuff. It's not necessarily for showreel material, that's not what we aim for, it's not about that, it's used as a learning tool, but at the same time you do learn a screen acting technique, and often actors from the Wednesday Workshop have actually used the material from the workshop to send out to casting directors and have got cast in a lot of things as a result, because the quality by week 8, 9, 10 is very high because they've been working on it throughout. So that's the Actors Wednesday Workshop. Now, the Actors Friday Studio is a little different in that it is populated by people who already have a technique. Now, they may have learnt that technique from me in the Applied Art of Acting, or previously in the Actors Wednesday Workshop if they've done a few terms of it. Or they may have their own technique that they've learnt from another teacher or another school somewhere else. Okay? And the Actors Friday Studio essentially is an actor's gym, where they'll often work on 3 or 4 scenes and a couple of monologues throughout the 10 weeks. And they bounce them off me, obviously, that's my job there, and I constantly help them to improve those and use the technique that they have or that I've taught them to get them better and better in that technique as the 10 weeks progresses. So that's what the Friday Studio is. So if you've got a bit of previous training or experience and you're looking to flex your muscles and really push yourself as an actor, that's what the Actors Friday Studio is about. Same thing, it's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday evenings for 10 weeks, and it's in Dublin. Okay? Now the Wednesday workshop is €220, and I take 16 students on it. I'll take 18 max, but it's usually I stop at 16. The Actors Friday Studio is €250, and I cap that at 14. If I go over 14 substantially, or if there's a lot of demand for it, I'll actually hire a studio on a Thursday night as well and do both Thursday and Friday. But I need a few more than the 14 to do that. I usually stop it at 14, okay? that's the Actors Wednesday workshop and the Actors Friday studio. Now there's 2 summer courses as well. So there's a teen summer course that runs for 1 week in the summer, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday of that week. It's €150. I take 16 students max on that. And there is an adult summer week, which is the same setup, but obviously for adults, okay? Now, in those, what we do is we immerse ourselves in 2 or 3 specific aspects of the technique that I teach. You're not going to learn the whole technique in a week. There's like 24 components to the technique. So in that intensive week, we really immerse ourselves in 2 or 3 aspects of the technique and become very, very good at those. And it's a great week. You know, it's one of those summer kind of weeks where no one wants to go home at the end, and everyone makes new friends, and it's lovely. It's really cool. So you're very welcome to join those as well. So Actors Wednesday workshop, Actors Friday studio, the summer week intensives, the teen and the adult. I sometimes run an Easter course, but often Easter is busy for people and busy for me, and I end up having to leave it. But if I'm doing an Easter course, or you want to do an Easter course, then let me know, and if there's the demand is there and I'm available, then that will be done as well. Okay. There's one-to-one training as an option. I do that usually on weekends. Sometimes I make house calls. I know that sounds a bit odd, but it's true. I can come to you if you're working on a monologue for a major audition, or you're in a major television series or something like that. You've got yourself a role and you want someone to go over the work with you. I'm happy to do that. So I do one-to-one training. It's hard to find slots for that. So, but let me know and we'll work it out. Time-wise, it'll be worked out somehow. And I'm happy to come to you if you have a theatre group or a theatre company and you want me to come and help with a particular play that you're working on, or just to give a general acting workshop over a weekend. I do those a few times a year for different groups all over the country, as far north as Bangor and as far south as Kerry. So I'm very, very happy to do those, and I enjoy doing them as well. So that's the part-time stuff that I teach, and of course there is the full-time 3-month The Applied Art of Acting, which is, it's the best way to train because it's so intensive and so immersive, right? But of course it does require full-time commitment, and it's more expensive, obviously, because of that. So they're all the options that are there. If you have any questions, my website is davidscott.ie, my email address is on there, my phone number is on there. Just give us a shout, and I'm sure we'll be able to find the right course to suit you.